Bully Scholarship Edition, my final semester at boarding school. I had a lot of requests to do this video and I love this game, so it's time to give those who asked what they want the most. Questionable high school content. We play as Jimmy Hopkins and he is like the Don of Bulworth Academy. All the different cliques love him. The jocks, the nerds, the rich kids, even the janitor gets a little excited to see Jimmy. A little too excited. From a broken family to breaking hearts, it's time to try and graduate. The problem is, this unhinged menace called Gary Smith is very dodgy. He takes bullying up quite a few notches. He puts people's lives in danger and doesn't always say please and thank you. Welcome to the final episode of Bully. I eagerly head out to my classes as I obviously strive to be an A+ student. On the way, I spot a spicy little Mamazito giving me the wave, and so I decide to drop some game. I give her a box of chocolates, which she proceeds to shelve. Eunice then tries to eat Jimmy. The bell rings and I dash for class, as skipping lessons will lead to prefects disciplining you. They're all psychopaths who project their own traumas onto students weaker than them. The healthiest way to handle emotions. Today we have geography and I start acing it, except just kidding, I fail miserably because I forgot where Tajikistan was. Jimmy Hopkins is washed. I head down to the cafeteria and begin hurling produce at other students to let off some steam. A food fight breaks out and everyone's having a good time. I whip out my potato cannon and begin firing spuds at everybody. No one else is even armed, it's embarrassing. This isn't a daycare center, it's high school. Always be strapped. I have to bail because I'm wanted by the prefects. It's nice to feel wanted. Some guy asks me to deliver food for him and I agree. Next thing I know, he's got me in this outfit and everything. 5 minutes after failing geography and Jimmy's delivering fast food. Who would have thought that forgetting where Tajikistan is geographically located would have such damning consequences on Jimmy's career prospects? I head back to school and everyone is laughing at me for my outfit. I talk to girls who'd usually let me hit, but they have no time for this trip. Even tiny lasses are laughing at me, and so I take the high road and aggressively shove them. Prefects chase me for this, and so I lead them over to the soccer ball and begin showing off my techers. Jimmy's not great at football, but he'd still probably start for the Qatar national team. They catch me and take me to the principal's office. Dr. Crabblesnitch is like, "Oi, you little inbred dog, have you been cutting classes and squeezing asses?" Jimmy's like, "Yeah, I love bad because that's a problem." We get detention and I have to mow the lawns. I've said it before, but I'm in full support and actively encourage child labour, but not when I'm the child. Day 2 and I arrive at school fashionably late because Hopkins is chill like that. On my way to biology, I hear a student calling out for help. He's in the stall and there's no toilet paper. It also clearly says out of order on the door, but I respect he didn't read that. Reading is for librarians and recently divorced women. Some kid comes in to use the urinal, and so I take his textbooks, throw them at his face, and then dunk him in the toilet over and over again. Like the video if you enjoy drowning your peers to build comradeship. I find some TP and throw it into the stall for my mystery homie. Jimmy saves the day once again. I take a big drink of water and then notice some graffiti on the wall that says, "You sporty guys like to wash each other." Well, obviously yeah, otherwise how would we adequately clean our backs and shoulders? And also, where would we kiss, soaked up and naked? English class is next, and against all odds I pass. I get 72%, which would be pretty impressive if I hadn't cheated. I'm trying to make a lighthearted video, but I'm getting PTSD from my own schooling. At least as a reward, I unlock the ability to give better insults.
That's probably the dumbest thing you've ever said.
My crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's 'cause Jesus Christ is my...
After class, my English teacher has a mission for me. Mr. Galloway is like, "Oi lad, the dirty dog math teacher keeps telling the mandem I have a drinking problem." And Jimmy's like, "Yeah nah mate, you're literally drinking straight whiskey right now, but I'll help you." I follow the maths teacher back to his house by skating behind his car and then grabbing onto the bumper. He might know how to find the unknown side of an obtuse triangle, but he obviously couldn't get the angles of his rear vision mirror lined up properly. My old high school teacher used to tell us that we'd use Pythagoras' theorem in the real world all the time, and so I learned it. I've never used it once and now he's divorced. God works in mysterious ways. I arrive at his house, which is a gated mansion. I should have been a maths teacher, they seem to be overpaid. I vandalize the property to teach him a lesson. I guess the lesson is not to snitch on alcoholic teachers who are potentially endangering the safety of students. Let the English faculty get lit. I climb into bed, still wearing my school uniform because Joseph Stalin wore pajamas and Jimmy's no commie. Before class, one of the honeys comes up to me and starts flirting. This is the same lass that rejected me earlier because I was wearing a fast food delivery uniform. If you can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. I proceed to throw itching powder on her. What a junkie. I proceed to fail art class, which is just wow. I do, however, destroy gym class. The nerds and I take down the jocks. It's basically the same plot from Remember the Titans, except deeper and more impactful on society. After gym, I take a leak. There's no point to this, it's just immersive, and this guy gets it. He nicely spaces out from me, which is a courteous gentleman move. I then go and take a second leak right next to this guy to flex my riz. A little downwards glance between the boys. I also throw this lad into an empty swimming pool. Nothing like murdering the starting quarterback to round up a successful day of academia. As you can see, Jimmy really is the big steez at school and everyone loves him. These guys are like, "Oi Jimmy, you're the best man. Jimmy, we love you. Jimmy, I saw you throw someone into an empty pool and they died, bro." They convince him that as king, he must lay his mark on the town of Bulworth. I skate off to the center so that I can graffiti the town hall. Peer pressure is super effective. I climb to the top and graffiti the most absolutely crazy thing possible. I graffiti the phrase, "Bulworthless." Nothing like a red hot pun to show these civilians who's really in charge here. Noose and bleach sales in Bulworth are about to skyrocket as people read this and realise they are in fact worthless. The cops chase after me, but everyone knows a police cruiser is no match for a skateboard. I get back to my dorm room and my friend Petey, who I abandoned once I became popular, is like, "Jimmy, you big unit, everyone hates you." He's right too, everyone suddenly hates me and we don't know why. All at once I lose respect from all the different factions in the school. What did Jimmy do to deserve this? I run over to the library to investigate what's going on and the nerds start arcing up at me. I really am hated by everyone. I begin doing what Jimmy does best. I'm breaking jaws and shattering femurs. These malakas wish they grew up in Compton, where it's safer. They then ask me to get the rats out of the library and Jimmy's like, "Yeah, sure thing, bestie." They are blaming me for the infestation, but I've clearly been set up by someone. I also struggle to see how this many vermin have just appeared. This isn't a rat problem, this is 1980 Hanoi. With the nerds a little bit happier, I head down to the Jocks district and their gym is on fire. The coach is like, "Oi baby boy, why did you burn the gym?" And Jimmy's like, "Yeah, not me, big sauce." I do go inside to save everybody anyway. The teacher of the year waits outside while a 15-year-old Giga Chad saves the day. While putting out a fire, I see there's one lass trapped in the flames, but it turns out she's completely fine, as fire isn't as hot as we think it is. I save a plethora of students from certain peril. The gym is saved, and Jimmy is a hero, except when I walk outside, the entire football team tries to gangbash me. Wow. When I flee, one lad chases me around campus with a baseball bat like, "Bro, I just saved your entire inner circle." I respect it though. Never forgive anyone for anything, it shows weakness. I hop into bed with singed hair and blood pouring down my knuckles. The next clique that I've got to smooth things over with are the Greasers. I skate over to where they hang out and see what's up. This 45-year-old MILF and her elderly husband, who are apparently both students, tell me that their leader Johnny Vincent has been kidnapped, abducted, and admitted into a mental asylum. They're blaming me. I agree to rescue him, but it seems like an escalation. Rats in the library is funny. Burning down a gym with students inside always gets a cheap laugh or two, but kidnapping is quite extreme. Plus, how would Jimmy orchestrate that? He's an impending foster child, not part of a Colombian cartel. I climb over the asylum's fence and sneak inside the facility. The place is called Happy Vaults Asylum. That's quite a dark name, but it's also direct, which I can appreciate. I sneak through the building looking for Johnny. I do wonder what kind of people get locked up in a place like this. As this game is set about 20 years ago, they probably had some crazy bad mental health problems, like mild social anxiety. Back in the day, if you said you were sad one too many times, you would be fast-tracking your way to a lobotomy. Harsh but fair. I put on one of the orderly uniforms and no one questions why a teenage boy works here, which is swell. I hit the lever which opens every cell door and all hell breaks loose. There are malakas jumping onto people and biting their necks, and people said they were crazy. Johnny thanks me for saving him and explains that some high school dropouts were the ones who kidnapped him. While skating back to school, I notice there's a building I can go inside. Upon entering, a group of high school dropouts appear and so I beat them all half to death. I throw some of them through poker tables, and as a reward I win the place I just trashed as a new hangout. This place will be perfect if Jimbo ever wants to shoot up. I push further into the warehouse and get photographic evidence that it is the dropouts who are putting rats into crates and are likely responsible for everything else too. To celebrate my findings, I smooch one of the honeys in my class. Teenage love is cute, but also often illegal. For example, this lass looks like she's about to hit menopause. She's like 7'2" with shoulders wide enough to carry a third world country out of poverty. 15 years old and she could easily play in the men's NBA, what a lass. In the morning, the unthinkable happens.
Jimmy Hopkins, you little monster! Come to the office right now!
As I run to the principal's office, I know it's not good. Jimmy is failing half of his classes, I'm being blamed for burning down the gym, and I'm pretty sure we've killed a few kids. All Jimmy Hopkins wanted was to complete his tertiary education. I head upstairs and Dr. Crabblesnitch is like, "Oi Jim Slim, you bloody big dog, why are you making my life so hard?" Among other things, hee hee. Jim's like, "Sir, that's creepy, who snitched?" Yeah, nah, you're expelled, Jimmy, you ugly mutt. And Crabblesnitch wasn't playing, he actually does expel us, which is awkward. We're not even allowed to wear the school uniform anymore, but we can use our room for a little while. We've clearly been set up by our arch nemesis, Gary Smith. He has a really boring name which detracts from how evil he is. I head outside to take my mind off things and decide to play a little ultimate frisbee. Frisbee is a great exciting game for those people who are unable to find success in literally any other sport. So Gary Smith has recruited all of the high school dropouts and formed some kind of super gang who are out here to get me. I head over to my boy Russell's house. He's got an impressive manly bike and I get to ride on the moped. Well, you know what they say, nut in the cooter, escape on the scooter. We've been expelled for 5 minutes and have already started a motorcycle gang. It's a slippery slope. Jimmy's about a week away from joining the Sons of Virgins. We approach the place where high school dropouts hang out, at a power station which I guess is sort of badass. Russell proceeds to kamikaze into the gate, dying in a horrific explosion. I work my way through the industrial plant, firing a slingshot and crawling under incredibly tight gaps. This chick rocks up and she's like, "I'll help you, Jimmy." Super nice of her to just go and distract that entire gang of hoodlums for me. Is it safe to leave her alone with this sketchy group of lads right before nightfall? Yes. Yes, it is. I head inside and have to fight the school dropout leader. We both get massive metal pipes and just start whacking each other across the jaw with them. Just a little roughhousing between the boys, nothing too crazy. Jimmy's like, "I'll kill you, blood, I'll kill you." And this dweeb is like, "No, puppy, it was Gary Smith." That sounded terrible, sounded like I was dying. We now have confirmation that our new target is of course Gary. It's time for Jimmy to have a glow up. I head down to the trailer park and get myself 16 new tattoos. I was hoping to get one that said Daddy's Boy on Jim's lower back, but I sadly had to settle for daggers and skulls. Without the distraction of school, I'm able to focus on more important things, like helping this homeless person abuse pharmaceutical narcotics. As I search the bins for his misplaced gear, I realise it's time Jimmy evolves into his final form. I give the studies pills and then head to the clothing shop. It takes a while and I drop a couple of racks, but I present to you Little Jim. Man looks like he's about to drop the hottest cuss-free rap album of 2007. I go and visit that girl who's surprisingly not dead in a river, and she tells me the school is out of control and in a full riot. It's time to stop being so violent. It's time to use what we learned in class and apply logic to resolve the tensions at Bulworth Academy. Just kidding, we link up with Russell, who's also not dead, so hooray for children staying alive. And we proceed to absolutely fuck everyone up. We whack the preppy kids with bats, I gas the nerds with a pesticide gun I found, enjoy a lifetime of respiratory issues, or I guess worse respiratory issues. We bash the greasers who are in the girls' dorm getting wild, and then arrive at the final boss, Gary Smith. Gary climbs to the top of the school and I follow him. It's a dark, stormy night and he's even tipping wheelbarrows full of cinder blocks onto my head as I climb ladders. The school is cooked, where are the cops? I get to the top and what is this building, the Cathedral of Notre Dame? And Gary and I fight it out, but I know the #1 rule in hand-to-hand combat. Just continually throw haymakers at your opponent and you'll win without taking damage. If I ever do a YouTube boxing match, I know the strategy. I defeat Gary and we fall down into the principal's office off camera. That was like 4 stories, we'd be crippled, but Dr. Crabblesnitch is here and he's tied up. Kind of hot. I free the big girl and he's like, "Jimmy, you saved the day, you're not expelled anymore and I'd like to take you to my private island." What? I said you're not expelled anymore. As I walk out, the students cheer for me, even the ones I just beat within an inch of their life. The credits roll over, some more underage smooching to close out what is one of my favourite games of all time. If you enjoyed this video, hit like. I hope you're all doing really well and I love you.